Welcome to another iris folding tutorial. This time we're going to have one that is super easy, and it's one of the beginner ones, I would say, for iris folding. So we just need a square aperture. You can either cut that out with a craft knife or a cutting machine. And I've got a selection of used papers. I've got a little bag, I've got something off of a magazine. Iris folding was traditionally done with the inside of envelopes, so I'm going to use those, a little bit of packaging material as well. And then the last bit, I like to have a little sparkle in the middle, so we've got some sparkly card as well. So you'll need the pattern, which I will put in down below, so you've got the link to it. You need a heavy duty tape dispenser. You can kind of get away with kind of just using a roll of sellotape, but I would definitely recommend cutting off your piece of sellotape in advance. But one that's a heavy duty one where you can just use it with one hand is really going to help. A bit of blue tack and some scissors as well. So the first thing you want to do is secure your pattern in place, and I've just secured mine with some blue tack. Then use some more blue tack just to secure your aperture in place. So I'm going to pop this one over. Okie doke. Now here I've got colour A, colour B, colour C, colour D, and then my sparkle, as I said at the end. Now with this you can go for whatever colours that you like, but it does help once you've decided what you're going for to write them down. So I think I might start with the brown, and then I'm going to go on to the yellow. Then I'm going to go on to the blue, and then I'm going to go on to the purple on there, just to help remind myself what I'm doing when. So with iris folding, you always want to follow the numbers and not the colours. So we don't just kind of do colour A, which is going to be coming round this way. We don't just do 1 then 5. We always follow the numbers. So we do number 1 first, then number 2, then number 3, number 4, and they're all different colours, and we just keep rotating round. You're going to need to cut some strips of paper. So you want it to be about 1.5 centimetres ish. Now it really doesn't matter how neat or anything any of this is. I've got a few strips there, that might be enough. If not, we'll come back for some more. So I've got some yellow. Let's get my brown done next. And as I say, traditionally iris folding was always done with the insides of envelopes. So I love the fact that this is a craft that is really great for using recycled materials. Don't worry how neat you are. If you've got strips like this, so this is a little bit longer, I would say, I would chop those in half. It will be much easier. So I've got my yellows. I had brown first, didn't I? So let's do brown on the side here. Then I've got my yellows next, blue next. So this is going to be the inside of my envelope that I'm using next. So let's just do some strips. And I think I'll just do another 3 strips on this one. I can always come back and get a little bit more. There we go. There's my blues. And then my purples. I need to think about what way I might do my purples. I don't know if he's easy to get off, that little. Not so much. Sorry, sugar and slop. Alright. So I'm going to cut down like this. There's the next piece. Okay, like I said, and you can tell from how I'm doing this, you really don't have to be super accurate with your cutting, which is really useful, especially when I'm having one of those shaky days again. So if you're new, hello, welcome. If you've been here before, I'm Lisa. I always forget to say who I am, so I'm trying to be better and remember who I am at the start. Right, so we're ready to go on this bit. We are going to go. So we're going to start with our brown, and our brown is going to be number 1. So with our piece of paper, we just fold along. Now you'll see from this, I'll bring it up a bit closer so you can see. It's not all the way, it's not halfway, it's about 1/3 to 2/3. And we are going to be working with this really nice folded edge here. So it's called iris folding for a reason, and that's because we're going to use this lovely folded side. Now when we do it, we're working on the back. So the front of our design we're not going to be able to see, and you definitely need to wait until the big reveal at the end. No peeking, otherwise it just goes out of alignment. So you want to do the side that is the biggest side is going to go face down. And what you're going to do is where the number 1 is here, we're going to cover over, and that fold is going to go on that straight line and cover the whole of number 1. So we're going to snip that off, and we're going to place that one over number 1 and secure him in place. Now, it doesn't matter where you're putting your sellotape, you just don't want to cover any of your aperture. So that was number 1, and that was our brown. So then we're moving on to number 2, and as I say, follow the numbers, not the colours. So it could look easy to think, oh, I'll do number 5 there next. Don't do it. It works out okay for a bit, but then it'll all go wrong. So go for number 2 next, and the colour we're going for is yellow. So again, we're just going to fold. Now you'll see, I want my yellow to be the thing that shows up. So I have folded this way so that it's going to be my yellow. So I'm just going to measure that across. You don't need to be perfectly accurate for this pattern, but as long as that fold goes and covers that number 2. It doesn't have to be amazingly secured in place, because we can always add more sellotape afterwards. So remember, we're following the numbers. So we've done number 1, number 2, number 3 next. So that's going to be one of our blue strips. So again, I'm putting what I want face down to then fold up. Now I just need to be careful on these, not to use these end bits. There we go. So number 3 is next. And there we go. Snip that one off and in place. So that fold line again is covering the whole of number 3, and then just using a little bit of tape to secure in place. We're then going to move on to number 4, and that is our purple. So this one, I'm going to fold a little. I've just got kind of a scrappy little end that I'm going to take off there, and then I'm going to position this one in place. Cut a piece off and position this one over number 4. And you just keep on going around. So the next one after 4, we're going back up to 5, which is brown. And what you'll start to notice is how this pattern forms is through this spiral shape that meets in the centre. So it's like the iris of a camera. Let's do our yellow next. We're moving on to number 6 and securing that one in place. And you'll see what I mean. You don't have to go mad on securing, because each time we're securing a little bit further over. After 6, moving on to 7. Covering this one. You can see why I say that a one-handed tape dispenser is really helpful for these. So otherwise it can get a little bit fiddly. But if you haven't got one, like I say, just cut yourself off some strips to start off with and stick them onto a surface so they're easy just to pick up as you're working. Right, number 9 was next. And this one is a nice straightforward square pattern, so you're not having to think too much about what's where, which is always quite handy, especially when you're just starting out with iris folding. I'd really recommend going for something like this pattern because you need very bare minimum of resources, but it's also a really nice one to follow. I always make sure I can pop this back up and see what the number was. So it's number 10, so I know I'm moving on to 11 because my brain can easily forget where I was. You'll notice as I'm doing these, I've just gone slightly on the diagonal just so that it fits a bit more neatly and isn't going to overhang from my aperture. So I've done 11, we're moving on to 12. Going to need to fold some more strips in a minute. Pop this one in place. I'm interested to see how these are going to turn out with the stripe bags. I can't remember whether I've done a pattern like this with stripe bags this way around, so we'll see. So we've done number 12, we're moving on to 13, so we need a fresh piece of the brown packaging. This just came through with a parcel and I thought, oh, I like the look of that for a bit of iris folding. Okay, number 13's on. 14, we need a new bit. I'm going to fold over so that we don't see the writing, if you can see. So number 14 goes on. So this was either from an envelope or a magazine, I think, from something that came through the post. So again, nice little bit to recycle. And then obviously our trusty traditional envelope coming up again next. On number 15 we're on. Secure that one in place. All right, we need a little bit more purple. We'll trim off that end again. Sometimes if you're using papers that are really thin like this, so if you're using say mulberry paper or something, that's kind of the only occasion where I will often, rather than just fold in the 2/3 a third, I'll fold over in half just to make sure that you don't see the fold line. So we'll see how it turns out on this one. So we've just done 17, moving on to a yellow 18. If you're not sure where you are next, you've got the pattern on here, so we're just on 18 at the moment. Now this is where you'll see it matters about where we're going because we're starting to overlap on our different pieces. So this is what's going to form the really nice pattern. Moving on to another piece of blue. Here we go. Just got a little end that I need to snip off there as well, off the sides of the envelope. So, number 19 next. And hopefully you can see that our pattern's starting to swirl in from whichever point it's on. Just trim off that little end bit there on that one. And cover that one up. Then we're moving on to number 21, which is back up on the browns again. And I think I'm ready for a new piece of brown. So 21 coming in next. A decent pair of scissors is also really useful, just so that you can get some quick, sharp cuts with the paper. Right, that little edge needs trimming off. And then number 22 is going on. So we're on to 23, which is another piece of the blue envelope. Once you start looking at envelopes, it's really interesting. You don't realise quite how many kind of different patterns actually come through. And you can get really excited if you get an unusual one with a different colour than you're used to. what are we on? 23, so we're on 24 next. Let's give this one a little fold over. So 24. And then we're back up to browns on 25 up on the top. So we'll stick that one all the way across. 25. So on to 26, which is yellow. We need another piece of yellow. So you'll see, again, you do not have to be really accurate with this. It's a very, very forgiving craft when it comes to folding these pieces of paper. So 26 is next. 27 after that is another piece of our envelope. And then we're going to be up to 28 with our recycled paper bag again. Now I might just trim the edge off that one because I think we might be able to use that tiny little piece a little bit later on. We'll see. Right, we're heading on to 29, so we need a little bit more brown. Oh, I wonder whether I'm going to need to cut any extras. We'll see. We'll see if I've judged it well or not. So, and it's so tempting to look and kind of think what's happening with it now, but don't, because your papers just never quite go back exactly where you want them to. You definitely want to wait for the big reveal at the end. Now we need a little bit more envelope here. This envelope had already got a little bit of sticky tape on. Let's cover over this section. So 31 is done. 32, we're going to need another strip of the purple and white back. So we'll snip that one off. So this is number 32 going on. I really am interested to see how this really thin bag comes out, whether I'll be using it again or not. So we're up to 33 next. And we're almost finished. So 33, coming round. 34 is yellow and up next. So if you have a go at this one and then you want to try others, there's quite a few other iris folding tutorials on my channel, and also on the website you'll find the free patterns to download for them as well. So here we go. One that's great for using up little scraps. Well, there's a couple actually that are great for using up the scraps. One's the seascape and the other one's a landscape, and they're great for using up just little pieces. So 37 we've got here. We're on the final round now before we get to the sparkle. So let's pop 38 is yellow. Last little bit of our purple paper bag. And then finally, oh, no, not purple paper bag. Oh, this one I need to concentrate. 39 is blue. There we go. You saw how easy it was to take off the tape at the end there. I tend to use Scotch Magic tape only because it is really, really easy to peel back off. If, like I just did then, you make a little bit of an error. Right, finally we're on our sparkle. So with this one we don't do any folding, but we just want to make sure that it's going to cover our final aperture. And we just pop it in place, and then we're going to secure down with a couple more pieces of tape. Now if you've got any bits like here, what you might just want to do is just go over and just secure things. He's got a little overlap, so we'll just snip him off and secure these bits in place, and I'm going to do the same on the other edges as well. Those I don't quite overhang, but I think it'll probably be better just snipping those off a little. There we go. That one, and then a final piece over here, and that should be our finished design. Are you ready for the big reveal? So with your blue tack, gently ease it off. Don't worry about your blue tack being stuck. Ooh, oh, all the purples kind of came out rather than being as much of the whites. Oh, I really love that. That's come out really fantastic. Now with your blue tack, just get another blob of blue tack and just gently tease at it. And this will make sure that you don't damage your beautiful finished iris folding. And then you can mount that on a card, and you can do it smaller scale and make it into a bookmark. Entirely up to you. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Do check out some of the other iris folding ones on the channel if you are interested. Thanks ever so much for watching.